And the volunteer committee for the Michigan Business Model Competition would like to welcome you to the final event for the 2011 Michigan Business Model Competition, where we're going to be crowning a winner. It's been a long week, and over the last week, 22 participants were in this competition, and judges were judging them not based on the business plan, not based on a typical business plan like the Michigan Business Challenge, but more a business model hypothesis and then how they evolve throughout the process. These participants were asked to go out and speak to actual customers, have targeted customer interactions, and it's a very unique experience. So to start, I would like to first introduce some distinguished guests. At first, I'd like to have Lydia stand up. She's the one who organized everything. Next, I'd like to recognize all of the student volunteers, the advisors and mentors who helped put this together, along with the special committee. So anyone who was involved, could you please stand up? Let's give them a round of applause as well. And I'd also like to thank some of the sponsors. So the School of Information, the Center for Entrepreneurship, the Zeller Institute of Entrepreneurship, Intel Corporation, A2NewTech, and Uni. Next, I'll introduce some of the judges for today. So first, we're graced with the pleasure of having President of Menlo Innovations, Rick Sheridan, come here. So let's give him a round of applause. He's been on the cover of Forbes magazine before and even been invited to the White House, so it's an honor to have him here today. Next, I'd like to introduce Bill Mayer, the Director of Entrepreneurship, Entrepreneurial Services at Spark. Finally, the last judge today, I'd like to introduce Dr. Kurt Skifstad. Dr. Kurt Skifstad. He's the local Michigan man, and he's the entrepreneur in resident at RPM Ventures. So now I'd like to bring Lydia up to give some remarks about competition and today's event.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lydia Bowman. I serve as president of Accelerator, which is the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Student Organization at the School of Information here at the University of Michigan. And we serve as the student directors of the Michigan Business Model Competition. And I'm here to share with you the inspiration behind the Michigan Business Model Competition. This competition is all about asking questions. And it all started when Dr. Nathan Furr, who recently earned his doctorate from the Stanford Technology Ventures Program, he asked a few questions. He asked, what if we could do something more than just a traditional business plan competition? What if students developed hypotheses, got outside of the building, talked to real customers to test these hypotheses, and pivoted from their learnings based on their business models? These questions turned into action, and they launched the very first international business model competition earlier this year at Brigham Young University. And the premise of the competition, as described in the official rules, is that we all know that over 85% of new businesses fail within the first 2 years. And writing a business plan has no correlation with success. So the business model competition represents a radical departure from the past and a crest of a new paradigm in entrepreneurship. The BMC is not a business plan competition. Participants are not rewarded for doing lots of library research, or drawing fancy graphs, or creating a perfect pitch for VCs. Instead, the BMC rewards students for asking. They're going to be rewarded for their knowledge of a bona fide pain substantiated by customer discovery and development, for their team's ability to iterate and pivot based on their process of discovery, and the progress they made in arriving at this nailed business model. So Silicon Valley serial entrepreneur Steve Blank served as a final judge in this international business model competition. And Steve Blank came to visit us last March here, and he spoke at Blau Auditorium and here at A2NewTech meetup. And he spoke about customer development detailed in his book, The 4 Steps to the Epiphany, which is all about asking questions outside of the building in the quest of a repeatable and scalable business model. So, business plans have their place and their purpose in the right context, but for creating new business models, Steve said quite plainly, the business plan is the leading cause of death in a startup. The notion of getting outside of the building and asking real users right away is key. So he proposed doing away with business plan competitions and replacing them with business model competitions. inspired our group and different groups across campus to pilot these business model competitions this past fall semester. So the Michigan Business Model Competition was the first qualifier competition in the International Business Model Competition, and now there are similar competitions at Harvard and Stanford. So it's been quite a learning experience, and we see that asking actually helps develop humility, because in order to ask, we first have to admit that we don't know the answer to the question, and we actually have to look to the customers to provide those insights. And we also see that asking real potential customers is risky, because we run the risk of being wrong. And so it takes faith to keep on asking and to keep pursuing that vision, even if it means changing directions and pivoting. So these teams tonight have had a lot of courage to pursue the quest for this repeatable and scalable business model by asking questions outside of the building. And I encourage each one of us to continue doing that. And with that, back to you, Chad.
Thank you, Lydia. And so, before we get started, the last few points I'd like to make. Again, of the 4 presenters today, the winner will be guaranteed a spot in the semifinals of the International Business Model Competition, where there's more competitors and there's larger money at stake to win. Additionally, the presenters will be giving 8-minute presentations, followed by a 2 to 3 minute Q&A by the judges. And there'll be some setup time between all the presentations. Before I forget, the prizes: 4th place gets $250, 3rd place gets $750, 2nd place gets $1,500, and then 1st place gets a whopping $2,500. So it's a great opportunity. So again, thank you for coming, and now, if you guys are ready, I'd like to invite out the first team. Daniel, please come up. The floor is yours.
Thanks. That's not mine. That's not good. All right, so I'll just briefly tell you kind of the context of this story. And I came into the competition with an interest in real estate, but also an interest in where I work at GM on a daily basis and trying to struggle with some of the issues that I faced. So, thanks. So I started out deciding to, for the competition, work on a software idea that would help me at work. So the basic idea is that at work we have tons of multi-step processes. So there are things that have to happen in a certain order and may take several days to fulfill, and you have to wait for multiple people, but it's a pretty linear process. You have to wait for one person to do the next thing, and there's not really a lot of variability to the process. It just always happens in the same order. And so I constantly run into this. For example, if you're hiring a new person, they have to go through standard steps. They have to go through training. They have to go through getting a computer. They have to get a phone, etc., etc. What do they need access to? So all those things can happen, but our process had broken down. We didn't have a checklist. We didn't have anything. And so some things had to be dependent on other people. And so often an employee would come back 2 weeks later and say, I don't have this software that I need. And it's already been 2 weeks, they can't do their job. So because somebody in the line didn't do their job to get in that software, and that would be me. So to keep track of all these people that we need the processes for, we wanted to make sure that we, are these slides moving forward on their own? Yes, they are. So anyway, so I want to figure out how to solve this problem, and based my workplace experience is what really motivated me. And we had no documentation, might be hard to find. We don't know who the process is stuck with because we don't know where the customers act in terms of their process. So I found myself constantly drawing flow charts and handing them out to people, trying to check marks on them, checklists. It was very sporadic. So I then went and figured out I wanted to build a software that would have a visual management to it, where you could have the process really clearly documented, each step assigned to a person, and the process would manage the workflow. So if I did my part, the software would know that because I would click the button in my email, and then it would go to the next person in the process. And then they would be notified by email. And if I wanted to know where the process was, I just look at the software. It tells me, well, we're waiting on this person and that person. So it could be all automated. Why not, right? So I went and talked to some managers and employees at work, and talked about, over a dozen of them, and most of them felt it could be useful, it could eliminate wasting time. And the thing they liked is that it automated tasks, so they wouldn't need to go find out from somebody, did you do this? They would just know because they could look at the software. But he also felt that because it's a large corporation, it would be difficult to get people to use it because you have to go through the software, certification process. But I still felt it would be possible to do some sort of little trial run or something like that. And then one interesting thing that kind of piqued my interest the most, which was surprising, was that one of the managers, also a part-time real estate investor, he actually manages a few properties for someone, so he's not actually an investor. But he said, well, couldn't you do this in real estate somehow? And I thought, well, that's kind of what I really want to do. But anyways, I did my research on the software, and I found there's other software out there like Basecamp, and really good software that specializes in this stuff. So there's just tons of options out there, and the space is pretty saturated. So to develop a minimum viable product is going to be kind of tough. So I tried a little Excel checklisting thing, but to get people to use it, it really didn't provide them any value to go into the spreadsheet and type in their name, and it wasn't really easy to develop a concept that would prove that somebody wanted something automated, because you have to actually make it automated to make the MVP, so that minimum viable product. So anyways, I decided, forget the software. I kind of was really interested in this real estate idea, so I started looking into real estate. I had already been into real estate for a little while, and I decided, I want to help people invest in property. Let's go with that. So maybe the software can help coordinate the dance between investors, property finders, title companies, realtors, and lawyers. So, for example, software would be able to have the realtor plug in the data that they're looking at, and then the investor would select the properties, and maybe the lawyer would do up the contract. So I talked to a few people that I had known or met through researching this, and a property manager investor in Canada basically told me that the relationship aspect of real estate is really, really important, so they didn't feel you could automate a lot of that. And somebody in Michigan told me that you can't really define this process because every property you invest in is kind of different. And the one big one was a property investor in Colorado told me that he actually invested $750,000 with somebody he knew for a property, and he lost it because of fraud, and the guy just took all his money and ran. So he would never, ever use a software to automate this process. And so I found nobody really wants it. So I decided to say, okay, forget that kind of software too. So then I went to, let's say people have lost a lot of money in the stock market, but real estate has also crashed, and maybe it's at the bottom. So if it can't fall any further, maybe this is a good time to invest in real estate. I personally think it is, so maybe I could help other people find good investment deals. So then I went and talked to some people, and most people actually don't agree with me, and they think that real estate is a really bad idea right now. And some people are willing to invest, but they don't want to invest in property. They might be willing to invest in financial products. And I found a couple of people who actually were interested in buying property, but they weren't really interested in buying a lot of property. They just want a specific property. Like, for example, a property on the lakefront to vacation in or something. So that was a problem because it wasn't really skilled. I couldn't really find that many people who want one property just to use for recreational purposes. So I really want to focus on people who want more than one so that I can scale the model and help investors. So that's why I decided to focus on finding local property investors. So I worked with some realtors to locate these investors, and I do a couple of realtors, so I worked with them, and they had some investors, but they were really international based, and they weren't really local. I wanted somebody I could talk to, somebody I could work with, and do some more customer discovery to find out whether I could provide them any value and help them with these deals, real estate deals somehow. So I actually ended up joining Michigan Real Estate Club, and I'm not sure the time of that, I might have been a little bit before this, but it was around the same time I was moving towards real estate anyway. So they had a workshop, and I went to this workshop, and I actually met a bunch of commercial real estate people who maybe started thinking about commercial real estate, and I thought, that's a really interesting field that I knew nothing about because I was primarily focused on residential, and I thought, oh, I can just pivot again. But I said, wait, no, let me just focus a little bit and focus on the residential real estate. So actually at this event, I met my first actual Michigan property investor, which was kind of really cool because I had lots of trouble meeting him. So where did that slide go? There it is. All right, so I did a little customer discovery with this person, and I found out he likes to invest in a specific location in Michigan, for example, Livonia, Westland, and very specific area. He particularly liked 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses, under $30,000 that need a lot of work. He didn't want to spend more than $50,000 on a house. So this is actually really good news for me because I found somebody who had very specific requirements about what they're looking for. He's extremely busy, so he would love to have someone help him find deals, and he's willing to pay a fee for that. So if I can find a deal, he can give me some money. So I thought, well, if I found lots of deals, maybe he'd give me lots of them. So he also likes to work with cash investors, so they could lend him money to do deals, but I wasn't so much interested in that. So I focused on the idea of finding deals and getting fees for that. So I kind of settled on this, which is providing Michigan property investors with potential property investments. And the idea is that I can locate homeowners who may not have their homes listed in a traditional manner, or who may not even realize that they want to sell their homes, and match them up with real estate investors who would pay me to get access to that deal because they do not know how to find them. So since then, I've been researching ways to find people with these properties and trying to locate more buyers, investors, they're called buyers. And so that's where I'm at, and I'm continuing to look into this. I think it's actually going to go somewhere. So I think I'm under time, right? Am I good?
You're good.
All right. So questions?
Talk to any homeowners?
Pardon me?
Did you talk to homeowners?
I talked to a few. I didn't put them on the slides because I didn't feel like I had really the time to investigate that in detail, but there are a few people who have foreclosed their properties, for example, and they have invested interest in selling at a lower than market rate because they're going to lose a bunch of money anyway. So the bank, you have to short sell to the bank, and foreclosure. Those are a little bit more involved. So as I locate the right properties, I would sort of take them to the investors and say, I can get this for this price for you, that kind of thing. So there are some out there. I haven't actually gone to the other side of the equation as much as I'd like to. I've done some research, and I think there's lots of opportunities out there.
Do you have a sense for how many real estate investors there are that are similar to the profile of the person you talked to?
Well, the person I talked to said they belong to, they know a few people like themselves that they could get me in touch with if I'd like to. So I will follow up with them and get that information. But there are plenty of investors in Michigan. In fact, I've talked to some people from the real estate club who actually have said that in Detroit, there's a lot of investors that are buying a lot of homes right now, and they're propping up the market because the market's so low that all these homes out there that are foreclosed are such good deals because they can't really fall any farther. And if you can get like very high rents compared to your property purchase price, and it's all over the place in Detroit. So, but you have other issues to deal with in Detroit as well. But, so there's lots of investors out there from what I'm hearing. I don't have any substantiated evidence of these investors because I wish I did. If I could find them, do some more customer discovery.
So a follow-up question. Do you have a sense for how much those investors would be willing to pay for the matchmaking service?
It varies. From people that I've talked to, some people say, and I've actually done some research in people who teach people how to do real estate investing, and they say sometimes for the finders they can get $5,000 for a good deal. I'd be fine with $500 right now. So it varies depending on what the quality of the deal is, and every investor has a different kind of contract with the finders, if they use finders or not.
So would it be a fair assumption that investors overseas are looking for real estate investment opportunities in North America? And if so, is this platform going to, how do you see enabling that market?
Well, one thing I came across while I was doing customer discovery, I found one of the ideas that I could investigate was, I'm Canadian, so I know there's lots of Canadians who say, well, the U.S. market is really down. How can I take advantage of that somehow? And Americans aren't so much interested in U.S. real estate, but outsiders seem to be, from my experience in Canada, and international would probably be the same thing. I think there's a lot of international investors that are doing this in Detroit, for example. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a huge opportunity there, and I need to investigate that. It's on my list of things that I haven't pivoted to yet. But
yeah, it seems if your model really eliminates layers, that might be your largest opportunity.
Yeah, it's about eliminating layers, exactly. So
that's all the time we have for questions. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, to thank Accelerator for making this event, and also to the judges who selected me to be one of the finalists. My business idea is a social business called Dimana. Dimana is basically an Indonesian word, which basically means where. The initial idea for the business was that I wanted to create a service where local customers in the country can easily find local services to support local businesses, local small businesses and micro entrepreneurs. I mean, during my learning process, I pivoted this idea several times, and this presentation will try to document the process in general. So to give a context on what the business does, I want to use Kautsar. Kautsar is a small business owner in Banda Aceh, Indonesia, a small town in Indonesia. He owns a small used bookstore there. It has around 20,000 books right now. He promotes his business to add newspapers and so forth like that. But I mean, he's starting to be aware that recently the new customers are not coming from these ads that he's placing, but more coming from referrals from his current customers. So somehow his business is being self-promoted to his current customer social network, and he wants more of this kind of promotion, but he doesn't know how to go about it. So basically, the pain that I'm trying to target right now is that the current advertising channels for small businesses and micro entrepreneurs in developing countries is not appropriate. It is not working right now for them. First of all, it is very hard to do. Create a good advertising campaign. That's why advertising agencies are in existence to have them create this kind of advertising campaign. And secondly, it's expensive. Expensive because, for example, one big newspaper ad for Kautsar, he could buy like another 20 or 30 books for his inventory. And they're targeting a wrong audience. It's spreading out pretty wide, and he's not getting anybody. So he's not getting noticed from this big spread of people. So what I'm targeting is creating a new advertising channel that's more appropriate for small businesses and micro entrepreneurs in developing countries. So in the learning phase, during this semester, I iterated several times. So I pivoted at least 3 times, and where in the first pivot, I changed my customer segment from buyers to sellers itself. In the second pivot, I narrowed the platform from focusing on sellers who were using mobile phone to sellers who were using Facebook or Twitter, social network sites, to promote their business. And the third focus, I focused on my own country, Indonesia, to test if this was a monetizable page. So I did several smoke tests, both on the second pivot and the third pivot. So that's the learning process. The lesson that I learned was the first 2 lessons was that the result of my first pivot was that customers in developing countries do need this kind of services, but the problem is that this service is not that big. The one reason is that they can always ask their friends, their neighbors, they live there, so they know what's available, and if they don't know the service there, they can also ask their friends and neighbors, and they would prefer recommendation from their friends and their neighbors than somebody else, right? Because they believe the recommendation of their friends. So I perceive that the pain itself is not that big. So, but sellers in developing countries, based on my own research, have a big problem getting new customers into the door, because they are very local, they are very small, they have only limited resources, limited employees, limited funds to promote. So they have a big problem getting new customers outside of the locality. So I pivoted this model from the sellers to the customers, from the customers to the sellers. And the second thing that I learned, the major thing is that a lot of these customers are promoting the business through the social network, so self-promoting it. So there's need, rather than using current channels, I think there's nobody is really looking at how to self-promote through this channel. No mechanism, no system right now in the developer to do that. In this learning process, I also identified that several sellers were already starting to use Facebook, Twitter. Indonesia has around, right now, based on data that I had, 1 to 2 million sellers online in Facebook. And based on my smoke test, they are really having problems on how to really leverage this platform to sell, to promote their product. So to give an idea, these are 2 quotes that I think can illustrate the problem, the pain that they're having. The first one is from my initial smoke test, which basically there was a seller who was creating an online site. He created an online store, then he bought ads for it, but he's not getting any customers at all. And he was really desperate to promote his business. And the second quote is that there's a very, this woman was a very successful online seller, but the problem is that this was taking too much of her time promoting it. So she was not, the way that Facebook is set up, it's not very easy for her to push new products to walls or walls of friends and the current customers. So she needs a better system that can do this in a more efficient and more effective way. So the service that I'm thinking about is that, this is the initial idea of it, was that seller in Facebook, for the moment, will register to the site and link their Facebook account to the service. Then they would register the products to the service, and the system would periodically, systematically push this product to the walls of the friends and to their customers, the current customer, and friends of the current customer, so forth. And also, the basic idea is also to make the purchase visible, so friends, colleagues can see what they buy and so forth. And I think that's it's an important mechanism in social marketing. And an additional thing is that the way that Indonesians are using Facebook is through their mobile phone. So this must be a mobile-based application. So internet access are mostly through wireless mobile. In the sales ecosystem itself, because these are very small businesses, in general, the business owners are the decision makers. They will be the user, the main user of the system. They will decide who will use it. But from my interviews, I found out that they have a very close-knit groups of people. Sellers have this informal group that they discuss who should they trust, who should they not trust, even customers, who should they avoid, and so forth. They have this very close-knit groups online. And I think identifying this group and getting access to the group and promoting the application through this group will be a good way to serve the system. Market size in general, Indonesia has around 22 million micro and small businesses, 1.1 to 2.1 million are online, and around 90% I think is the serviceable market because of the urban area, target urban area customers. Risk-wise, adoption I think would be pretty moderate, 2 months sales cycle because I'm planning to do a trial. They can use this for 2 months or 3. Technology I think is pretty moderate. Facebook and Twitter have an open API, so everybody can access them, and to leverage, reduce cost of infrastructure, use cloud services like Google and Heroku and so forth. Financially, because based on this aspect, I think that it's pretty low, relatively low. So I predict around 75,000 should sustain this for 1 or 2 years. Thank you.
Do you have a sense for the efficacy of this approach? You can create something that will link into the Facebook or Twitter APIs, but how effective will it be at driving actual business to these micro entrepreneurs? I've interviewed several sellers online, and this is the only way that they're selling through Facebook. So they will push their pictures or comments on products on walls of their current customers. For sellers who already have a big customer base, they will just post new pictures on their wall, and it will automatically show up in the walls of the friends. And the customer would comment, would ask, what's the price? If you go to the walls, you see what's the price, it's still available, and so forth like that. So,
what's your how are you making money?
I asked them, so they said that they will pay around monthly, and the people that I interviewed, they will pay around $10 or $15 a month service charge to use the system. So if the way I describe it with that, they will use that kind of system for $10 or $15 a month.
So how exactly do you go to market and onboard your customers and scale this business in Indonesia? So
the idea was that, as I said, to identify these groups, so get access to this group. They have this my people that I interviewed, they know they have this group, and the idea was to get access to this group, get introduction to this group, and demo the service and have them use the service directly in a group setting. Where I think if you use it in group setting, the ability for them
use the system will be higher than if you just give it to them and hope that they'll use it later on. So bring them to a location, give them a free service, give them, I don't know, a conference and so forth like that, and have them use it, train them directly, and the hope that in the 2 months after the trial period, they'll use the service.
But will you be able to do that remotely? Will you need
No,
sales reps on the ground there?
It has to be there.
You have time for one more question? Or one more question? If we have it, otherwise you guys are going to
That's good.
All right.
Thank you.
Great.
Next, we're going to have Yo Mama Packed It.
Do I start whenever?
So whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and I'm here to present Yo Mama Packed It. This is a dilemma that being here at undergrad has been plagued with my friends. One example, freshman year, had to wait till 3 p.m. in order to eat lunch. And as organized as we try to be as college students, we're always running. We skip breakfast with back-to-back classes, with back-to-back meetings. By the time we sit down in class, reach into our bag, we find a smashed sandwich or maybe a granola bar, find nothing at all. And the options around campus, a combo meal, greasy combo meal, the overpriced cafe sandwich, or just not eat and starve. So in order to see if this was a more universal problem, we did an online survey. Oh, sorry, this is our thesis, of course. College students with busy schedules and short breaks do not have time to eat regular healthy meals. And so to establish this, we did an online poll. And in our 78 respondents, most cited lack of time as their main reason for skipping a meal. And 33% cited expense, and 26% cited lack of options that they wanted. In addition, 81% cited that they would like a meal delivered 1 time or more per week, establishing that our business does have a market. And we also bolstered this with interviews with our friends, with our coworkers, with our classmates as well. So, effects of skipping a meal. Besides that growling stomach in class, you have decreased academic performance, decreased cognitive ability, weight gain, and over time, it can lead to insulin resistance, which leads to diabetes, as well as metabolic syndrome. So, the idea, Yo Mama Packed It. Yo Mama Packed It is the solution. Students ahead of time or discreetly online during class can go to our website, choose from 3 to 4 menu options, 2 drop-off locations, and an hourly pickup time that is close to them. And they pay immediately with a debit card or credit card. David Anderson is calling. Yo Mama gets this information, packs up the meal, and then sends it off with their biking food runners, who will get it to the student with the flash of an ID. You have your meal, and you're off to class. So, the experience does not end there, though. After you've consumed your meal, you can go back online, provide feedback, whether you liked it or not, how the service was, and also contribute to future menu options. And this is one of the examples of our drop-off locations. This is the Hatcher Graduate Library. And right there, that X is where you will meet your biking food runner. They will be wearing a neon uniform so you can easily spot them, and this will be the same place every single time, so you know where your meal is going to be. This was determined by looking at foot traffic patterns and seeing where people tend to walk. They tend to walk across the dive right there where the M is. And while it's out of the way enough that you don't interfere with traffic patterns, it's also easily accessible for students. So, from our survey, these are 2 target locations, the Denison Building and the Hatcher Graduate Library around that area. And once we establish that we can service those 2 locations, we will increase to a 3rd location and further on. So, one of our critiques was that this is not feasible during the winter. And so what we did is we actually took a bike and we established headquarters, Notai, on South University and timed how long it would take to get to these locations. And as you can see, the green took from building entrances how long it would take to walk to these locations as well. And those we wanted to be under 2 minutes. And so that's how we figured out exactly those pinpoint locations. And this is a rundown of what an hour would look like. We had 30 minutes to prepare a meal. Our biking food runners would need 5 minutes each way, and they would sit there at the delivery location for 15 minutes, just to ensure that the students would get their meal. So we would start out with the literature, science, and arts students who are mainly focused on Central Campus. Then we would expand to, say, we can expand to North Campus at the University of Michigan, as well as to further campuses all around the state of Michigan, including Wayne State and Michigan State, and franchise outwards outside of the state. And we would market directly to students using social media, but also one of our pivots was we talked to parents of students, and they would be interested in investing in us as well to ensure that their students are actually eating on a consistent basis. I mean, we can't ensure that homework will be done or that they'll get enough sleep, but we can ensure that they have a good quality meal. Local partnerships include farmers markets, local businesses. This will increase their advertisement and product dispersal, as well as increase menu options for our customers, and as well as decrease production costs for us. So students are willing to pay between $4 to $6. We chose the $6 option, and we'll focus on low cost and high value. And we went to Gordon Food Service and priced out a typical meal, as well as used a distributor. And it came out to about $2 per meal. And we are competitive because by setting our price at $6, we can take care of all of our costs, but also be cheaper than, say, Jimmy John's. Within 5 years, we project that we will be making a revenue of $400,000. Within 3 years, we will be profitable, and within about 4 years, we will have paid back our startup costs. The first year, we will be creating our commercial kitchen and website, and within the second year, we will be launching our location near the central campus of Ann Arbor. Third and fourth years, increased delivery points, increased delivery times from the hour to half hour, and fifth year, we will be planning our North Campus expansion. And we will be increasing our employees with increased sales, delivery points, delivery times, and the winter weather. So these would be our biking food runners so that they can more easily get to those points and deliver meals. So I'm the operations lead. I've had experience with managing a farmer's market as well as nutrition classes, and I'm studying for my master's in public health. Emily Potter is our business manager, and she has experience with startups in her master's of engineering program. We are currently looking for a computer programmer. Norong Hong, who is one of the owners of No Tie, actually helped us with this event, and Ed Bueswick helped us with our operations. So, our student poll results. So the most important factor for the students is saving time. We targeted that cost. We found out that cost is $4 to $6 that they would be willing to pay. They'd be interested in regular meal delivery. For example, I would sit down at a cafe and be like, hey, how's your sandwich? Or I work in the lock quad and be like, well, this is the first decent meal that I've had all day. How about you? So interview like that. And in terms of validating our model, at first we thought we could start with our kitchen at home, but then Norong was like, you really need a commercial kitchen. So that was one of our changes to our startup costs. We established the cost of a commercial space, and to change our price point, that would make us more profitable within another year. And students were like, we need a mobile app too, so we added that. The problems, what was that?
1 minute.
Okay. So typical delivery services, you are not guaranteed when your meal will be delivered. It's not complete. Delivery and tipping charges are not included, which makes it expensive. On-campus sites, you have to watch the location. There's no ordering ahead of time, and there's also a long wait time. So, your most convenient, we have streamlined online transactions, time specificity, and regular on-campus drop-offs. And we are looking for a computer programmer, develop further menu options, hold consumer case stats. We're looking for bootstrap funding, so no venture capitalists. Acquire commercial retail space around the central campus of Ann Arbor. And Evergreen campus, look to you, Mama packed it.
So that was a very utilitarian pitch about the service. What about the food?
What about the food? That is one of our future developments that we're looking for. We have, your typical PB&J, and we have your typical PB&J, and we've thought up of wraps with like say cream cheese and fruit and peanut butter and that type of deal. But that is definitely our next step.
Did you ever interview busy CEOs who have companies around campus? Because we don't eat well either.
I guess that is a further pivot. We should expand to other markets as well.
In your revenue projections, how many meals per week are you assuming students will order, and what % adoption as you go forward?
So we actually base these numbers off of NoTie's startup numbers in terms of how many meals that they put out per month, per year, per week.
So it's based on meals per hour. Sorry.
This is Emily, by the way.
So these numbers are based on meals per hour, and as Jessica said, they are based on NoTie's predictions. So we started out with the absolute lowest that NoTie does per hour at 20 units per hour. And our workday is only delivering during 6 hours per day. So it's the key lunch period and a little into the breakfast period as well. So we really target that hour, and we save on the amount we need to pay employees as well in that time period.
Did you test actually delivering food during this whole process?
Yep, so that was what the timing of the bikes were running from a key location where we're still looking for our commercial kitchen real estate, and then timing those routes to see how it was. And we've actually, we've all tried packing lunches as quickly as possible, and from our basic lunch menu, we are able to do that.
So I just want to make sure I understand your value proposition. We keep using the word delivery, but am I correct? You're a fixed point.
Our kitchen is a fixed point.
Your kitchen is a fixed point, but
and
you're
our
a fixed
delivery locations, we have 2 fixed delivery locations on campus.
So
Right.
they're drop-off sites.
So people essentially just need to schedule when they're going to be walking by
Right.
and you
Yes.
basically throw their food to them.
Yep,
And
so
they
it's
keep
the
walking.
10-minute window between classes. It's hitting that 10-minute window, so as they walk by in the 10-minute window, they
Right.
show their ID and they get it immediately.
Okay,
they've
so
already
your
paid for
food
it.
is, if it's cold food, if it's a peanut butter and
it's a
jelly sandwich, for
packed lunch.
example, you can make it 4 hours ahead of time, and just all you have to do is make sure that at between 12 o'clock and 12:10, it's at the spot.
Exactly.
They have their pickup code, and you check them their sandwich, and they're on their way. So
Yes.
it's sort of like they're coming to your spot versus you delivering to them.
Exactly. To some extent, yes. But because we're hitting those key locations where we've researched and found out that those are the points where they are walking by and they are most hungry, we're targeting where they already are.
One last question.
Is there an issue of throughput if you're selling at that volume, but in a 10-minute window, trying to push 200 students through in a...
We actually have it based out so you can have 2 food runners per location so that you maximize how much you can put it out. We're working on creating a way, whether it's by number of the order or by last name, how to get the meals delivered in that 10-minute period quickly. So we are testing that right now to make sure that we can actually hand them out fast enough in that 10-minute window.
I got one quick question. How will payment processing work?
Oh, so it's all online. So they have to pay online with the credit card or something like that in order so that we're not dealing with the cash transactions going down the delivery.
So did I see on one of your slides the word subscription?
Yes, so they can subscribe to it so that the parents can sign up for a whole year subscription so the students can just pick their delivery time and the parents have already paid for it. So you're guaranteed to have your meal at that time. You can change the time by day of the week so that no matter the day of the week you walk by the delivery point you want at the time you want and you'll have it already paid for parents if they so choose to sign you up for that.
I'll ask the last question. Where do I sign up? Thank you guys very much. Finally, we have Riley, who's going to take a second to set up Matt.
Sorry, we had some conversion issues going on. Let's see. Hi everyone, I'm Nick Fassler. I'm one of the co-founders of Thrively, and we're gonna. Let's try that one more time. And we're going to talk to you about our business model and some of the pivots we've made along the way. So we wanted to start with a quote, and we like this one. In the organization of the future, every single employee has a voice and gets heard. And this really resonated with us because our passion was about helping people thrive at work. So we thought to do this, we would create a number of business models. We created a bunch of business models and then got out of the door and went outside and talked to people. We talked to students, staff, faculty at schools like these and companies and HR people and managers at organizations like these. We started developing from talking to people a number of personas. So this is Lori, someone we describe as a self-optimizer. She's an MBA at Columbia, and she really wants to improve herself so she can get a great job. Unfortunately, she's had a setback. So this past summer, she had an internship. She thought it went well, and she heard from her supervisor, oh, you did a great job, but she wasn't invited to come back. So she's not sure. She wants to figure out, why is it that she wasn't invited? We realized that these self-optimizers go on to become team optimizers when they go out in the workforce. So this is Oscar, a marketing manager at a startup in Austin, and he realizes that his success is directly related to how well his team does. So he wants to figure out ways to get his team to perform better. And he currently manages lots of millennials. I don't know why that's doing that, sorry. He's currently managing lots of millennials and realizes that they want a lot of communication from him. So we looked over our business models and realized that there were two that really stood out to us. And we picked one to go forward with. We had all been using Mint.com to manage our finances, to bring all of our credit cards and various financial accounts into one place. And we thought, what if we can bring personal assessments like Myers-Briggs, feedback from peers, and other tools all onto one central platform. So this model was based on two assumptions. First, that professionals want a tool for aggregation, and second, that organizations would be willing to pay for this for their employees. So once again, we got out of the building and talked to more people, and we found out that what they wanted really was pizza. And we asked some more questions and found out they didn't really want aggregation. What they needed was career guidance. And organizations, what they wanted to pay for was training and support, not just assessment tools. So we pivoted. And we thought we'd talk to career counselors and career coaches. And from them, we thought maybe they'd be willing to pay for this for their clients. But we found out one major problem, that the assessment tools that we'd want to work with, like Myers-Briggs, really cared about their intellectual property and weren't really willing to play nicely together. So figured as a small team, that wasn't something we wanted to tackle. So we moved on, we went back to our business models, pivoted once again, and chose to go forward with the other one. So, we had been reading books like these, the books that this idea is built around, and thought, they all have one thing in common, and it's basically this model, right? First you build something, whether that's a prototype or a business model, and then you get feedback on that and measure and figure out, what you've learned from that, And then, of course, you repeat and do this over and over and over until you learn something. And we figured, we apply this to all the businesses that we create, and we know this is a great way to grow our businesses, but why aren't we applying this to ourselves? Why aren't we getting more feedback to improve our performance? So we figured, what if Thrively was a tool to really get lots of more feedback? We also knew about this trend. So I'm a millennial, and millennials are going to make up 47% of the workforce by 2014. And millennials want constant feedback and information on their career progress. So this model is based on two assumptions again. Professionals want more feedback, and the organizations they work for would be willing to pay for it. So you guessed it, once again, we got out of the building, talked to more people, and we went back to people like Lori and Oscar. And for Lori, she thought that a way to get more feedback would help her really identify her strengths and weaknesses and find that job that she wanted. And for Oscar, he thought that a feedback tool could really help him communicate with millennials and prevent them from leaving. So our findings, professionals, there was definitely professionals out there that did want more feedback. And we also found out that they really needed guidance on what did good feedback look like. The other thing we found out is that people hate performance reviews. So, whether you're an employee and you think it's just totally not useful for your growth, or you're a manager and an HR person, you just realize how long and frustrating the process is. We also, small businesses just didn't really see this model as fitting their, the way they work. They were flatter organizations, not top down, so the performance review process just didn't work for them. So we decided Thrively would be an engaging online platform for professionals to share feedback frequently and efficiently. And we would do this through intuitive design and helpful hints along the way. We thought we'd go forward with a freemium model. First, we would hook those users, those personal optimizers like Lori that really care about getting lots of feedback. And then these users would spread the product virally by asking for feedback from peers. And finally, these users, these self-optimizers, would go out into the workforce and become team optimizers and potentially buy this product or influence other people. So what we've been doing since then, we realized we still need to learn a whole lot more about our users and our customers. So we've been creating rapid prototypes, paper-based prototypes to find out more, talk to people with. And our goal is to develop a minimum viable product, something that our users will love, and hopefully from that develop a product that customers will love and pay for as well. So we think that this market, we could probably reach over 100 paying customers just by tapping into our professional networks, people at design firms and local entrepreneurs and things like that. Hopefully reaching over 10,000 paying customers, small innovative organizations throughout the US. And we think, if we play our cards right and scale this, we could potentially reach 500,000 small organizations with our serviceable available market throughout the US. So we've talked about, mostly about our customer development. This is the rest of our business model as it stands now, at least until our next pivot. So our team, we think we're definitely able to execute on this. We're designers, design thinkers, web geeks. So we think we'd be a great team to move this forward. And finally, thank you so much. And we're not live yet, but we hope to get your feedback. If you have any thoughts for us, go to this link. So thank you. So this is Emily and Emily, and the last member of Team Raina.
So you mentioned it was a multi-sided model. You're looking for users, and then the users will then take this to their management. Is that correct?
So we thought users, we tracked MBAs, graduate students, other people that were really looking to improve ourselves. The self-development and self-help market is huge, so we thought those people could use it themselves, and when they're at work or when they get jobs, they would go and want to use it at work or influence the people that make choices like that.
And then the revenue would come from...
Yeah, we thought we'd sort of be similar to software like Basecamp that would be free for individuals, but for teams of 5 or more that wanted to use it, we would charge them.
Any sense for how much you charge?
No, I mean, we're still really early trying to figure out, what it is that, users and customers want and what they'd be willing to pay for it. But you know, a lot of those tools run around $25 to $50 a month, depending on the number of users. So.
Did you test? I saw you had some paper-based prototypes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you test those prototypes with any users?
We're starting to put them out there. That's like where we are right now. Basically, is we've been gathering lots of feedback, and we want to create maybe like 20, 30 of these, and just start talking to people and getting feedback on what works and what doesn't for them. So, we haven't really gotten reactions yet. So.
And the guidance portion of how to give good feedback.
Mm-hmm.
What we base that on?
So we've thought a lot about that, and that's something we want to try to figure out. Two potential models. One, we've been thinking about maybe like a Mad Libs type model, something that you sort of fill in, where we sort of guide you through the process of what a good feedback tool looks like. Another model could be something like a ranking, where people, the person that you give feedback to, says was this good or not, and then your ranking goes up and down depending on how much good feedback you're giving. So.
Another thought is that we would allow people through the application to rank feedback that's coming into them, and so then we're able to use that feedback in their assessments of that feedback to kind of predict what good feedback looks like.
Are you imagining the feedback is blind feedback or known feedback from the other person?
Yes, so that's another thing we're testing. We've heard both ways. People love one-on-one feedback. People also sometimes don't love giving feedback that way. So I think we want to build some flexibility in the system. We really like more transparency, but we recognize that having some sort of 360 feedback, anonymous feedback, can be more powerful because users might be willing to give more blunt feedback, more direct feedback if that was the case.
So you talked about the pain point of performance reviews, which it's interesting. It's the end of December because I'm doing my teams on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of that negative association feedback. What about mentor relationships, coach relationships? The more positive aspect of it. Have you tried to interact with that market?
Yeah. So we mentioned we talked to career coaches and career counselors, and they actually, they like the Mint.com model, but they really love just finding more tools for the people that we're working for to develop themselves. So we haven't specifically talked to them as much about the feedback model because that's where we've pivoted since then.
One more question.
How do you envision this working in the ecosystem of social networks now? You have, how tied into LinkedIn endorsements and things like that. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, one of the next questions we're going to try to figure out is, do we build this as a separate platform, or is it built onto, we could use the LinkedIn API, or it could be an app, or it could be a Facebook plugin, but figuring out where people are, and we've really thought about LinkedIn being the place that professionals are using already, so if we build onto it, maybe that's a good way to get to them.
We also heard feedback about task management tools and how it would be nice to have this tie into that in terms of goal setting and monitoring yourself that way.
Great job, guys. So those are the 4 presentations we had today. Now 2 things are going to happen. First, the judges are going to depart us and make their decision. And we'll have a few speakers come up to kill the time, so to speak. These are great speakers, so I don't consider it killing the time, I consider it learning. So first we'll have Doug Neal from the Michigan Center for Entrepreneurship. He's going to talk about some of the resources they have. I'm here to kill time. Thanks, Chad. So first of all, please join me in congratulating Lydia and School Information SI Create for their first business model competition. I know School Information SI Create is a new organization. It's your first event, so that's great. These are always difficult to do. I just want to say a few things about what we're doing at the center. I'd say, first of all, we're very supportive of what you're doing in School Information, and I want to thank everybody for getting involved here from the community.
one of the things I'm really passionate about is actually getting rid of business plan competitions, so I'm very appreciative that School of Information is taking this on. It's not easy to do customer discovery and customer development, and I think something that you should know actually is that this language of business model development, business model canvas and customer development is taken off across campus. So there are really hundreds of teams and thousands of students engaged in this type of dialogue happening every day. So I'm very excited about what the future holds. I also want to mention that a couple things about the process. As entrepreneurs, we get engaged in this process on a daily basis. I don't want you to think that it stops at the end of these competitions, right? Good entrepreneurs are always doing customer discovery. It becomes part of how you look at the world, honestly. And it's not easy, right? I mean, and it's not where inspiration comes from either. You can't talk to customers and get necessarily inspired. Actually, you get quite annoyed sometimes because customers will give you feedback you don't want to hear, right? They'll tell you you're wrong or that's not what I want. So it's not a replacement for inspiration or big ideas. It is a great tool, and I think it's only better if you use it, right? So practice all the time. Keep engaging customers. Keep talking to everybody about your ideas. It's the only way to get better at these things. The tools that are available, and we appreciate the author, Steve Blank, and Eric, and Alexander for what they've given us. Now it's up to us to really embrace these tools and go out and do things. At the center, we have multiple activities like this going on right now. And we, for example, converted the Michigan Clean Energy Prize, which was a business plan competition, to a full business model challenge that's going on over 4 or 5 months. There's 50 teams from across the state that engage in this model. So we're living it, we're breathing it at the center, and we're really supportive of everything that's happening at School of Information. And I guess it's about time to fill in the channel. Does that sound good?
You can go as long as you want.
All right. Congratulations, all teams. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. Next, I will invite Doug Song up to represent the A2NewTech group to inspire us with his words.
Not
Get
filler.
better. I'm getting better.
Not filler.
Yeah, that was my pivot. Yeah, I'll be more exciting for hopefully. So thank you for all coming. This is actually I'm not sure, the third or fourth event we've done in conjunction with the university as part of A2NewTech. A2NewTech itself is an event that it's held here every single month. The third Tuesday of every month, typically 6:30 p.m. And so we're a little bit off our normal date. But the format is largely similar. It's 5 teams, we get 5 minutes to present, 5 minutes to create the audience, and then open networking. But oftentimes we are actually finding events to kind of partner with universities to make sure that we have the bridging town and gown that so often doesn't happen here. So thank everyone for coming out. I don't see, I'm not sure how many students I see in the audience. Some of them probably are out and bowing, but all are invited to the meetup. The meetup really is meant to be an event where everybody can present their ideas and get feedback from folks who maybe haven't done it before, but often find each other. We do have lots and lots of companies that are born, raised, and hopefully sold here. But more often than not, they happen only after folks have graduated, left, and come back. So we are trying to encourage more and more students to get involved with the startup community that's already here, and vice versa, because obviously with all the activities that happen on campus, we could work with folks like CFE, ZLI, and of course at Howard. There's a lot of activity happening on campus that we hope translates into something that stays within the community. Are there any questions about A2NewTech or about the Ann Arbor Tech community in general? Since I see a lot of new faces maybe that I haven't seen previously. Although I do see some folks from Detroit here, CompuWare, and so forth. And who's here for the first time ever as part of a new tech event? Good number of folks. So if you really got this many people, or a little bit more maybe, and so sometimes the challenge we have in the community is if it's a student, if there's an event that looks like a student event, we sometimes don't get events, sometimes we don't get students. I don't know exactly why that is sometimes, but we're again trying very hard to break that. Let's see, any other news or anything else that we talked about?
Tech brewery?
Okay, so just to maybe mention some other things in town that might be relevant to folks if you are starting a company and looking to get going. We do have a number of other groups and facilities in town that are basically built to help startups grow. Besides Spark, which is sort of the great granddaddy of economic development groups here, there's a lot of sort of guerrilla economic development that's happening in town by a lot of grassroots folks. And so one of the other things that we do here is a small startup accelerator called Tech Brewery. It's a co-working facility for startups. We have about 30 companies there. You get started at the desk for cheap at $50 a month. We graduated a whole bunch of companies from there into other programs like we actually sent another company to my congress this month, another company to Techstars Cloud over in San Antonio this month, and but more often we're trying to have those companies stay here if possible. At this point, we've had a number of exits from the tech brewery as well as companies funded. And so again, if you're in the tech arb or if you're a student startup or if you're a startup in the community that's looking for a place again to get going, please check us out. It's techbrewery.org. If you're actually building anything physically with hardware, there's a bunch of opportunities in town. And we have a great native community in Ann Arbor. A2NewTech was one of the earliest co-working facilities like the tech brewery where companies are actually building physical products. But besides the A2NewTech, there's also now a facility called MakerWorks, which is actually a professionally run it's sort of like a gym, except that it's a gym with $5 million worth of tools. And so if you want access to a laser cutter, 3D printer, even sewing machines, they have everything there. You can check them out at maker-works.com. And again, it's a good place to get started if you're building anything physical. If ever anyone's ever looking to raise money or get started with a company that you think should be venture backed, and to be clear, most companies should not be venture backed. Small minority companies are actually sort of appropriate for that kind of thing, which is not a value judgment. Just to say that most companies shouldn't be doused with gasoline and go on fire. If you are considering that kind of route, definitely stop by Tech Brewery. We have again probably 4 companies in the last 12 months have been venture backed, and we're always sort of helping counsel companies that are looking at that as a possible alternative to bootstrapping. I guess that's about it. And hopefully the judges will be back. All right, thank you. I'm also going to make one more announcement. Empower, the organization we've spoken about a few times, a student group on campus who encourages entrepreneurship, is having their annual career fair in January. It's January 12th is the date. At the career fair, my startup participated in it last year. It's a great opportunity to potentially bring people onto the team. And if you're not working with a startup right now, it's a great opportunity to find a startup to join. A lot of these startups are early stage, so yes, you can join some of them as an employee, but some of them you can potentially even join as a co-founder. So there are some flyers for the event. Again, it's January 12th. That table over there has them. And now, while we wait for the judges, I guess I'll put on some music. Does anyone have questions about Empowered, about for Doug, either Doug?
About any community announcements?
Yeah, the floor is open to anyone who wants to make any announcements. Just feel free to come up.
Peace. Oh, yeah, I'll let you make an announcement.
Yeah, the annual collaboration for entrepreneurship is January 31st, is that right? So you can sign up now and get a better deal on your admission price.
Hi, my name is Dimana. I've been involved with A2NewTech for a couple years, and I just crossed the line into the gown part of the town as an MBA student as well. This is Jeremy and Jeremy. We're all MBA students here at Blau, and we're on the planning team for the Future Tech party downtown Ann Arbor on Thursday night, and then a series of awesome keynote speakers and panels going on Friday, as well as a demo showcase in the afternoon, which is where we'd love to see any startup, pretty much at any phase, come and show us what they've got. So Jeremy can actually talk a little more about what that will involve.
So it's going to be probably 20 to 25 companies, local entrepreneurs coming and showing off demoing their products, either physical or web services, to those in attendance, which will be the local community and the School of Business, the School of Information, and the School of Engineering, as well as various other schools from the University of Michigan community. So these flyers that we have actually have information on how to apply if you want to be a part of the demo showcase. And there will be some prizes associated with it that we are still in the works of determining. Probably a cash prize as well as some services or advice for startups.
So the whole team will be here afterwards if anyone wants to talk about it. And we've got some awesome sponsors as well, like Amazon and VMware, etc. So it's definitely going to be a great conference.
Where can you find out more about the URL or website?
We have, the URL is on here. We also have the QR codes you can scan that also will give you the website.
It's you and then Future Tech, right?
And Future Tech is spelled F-U-T-U-R. It's very German, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, don't put it in there.
Quick question for everybody who's said a word up there. Is there a preferred method for communicating with the student body that you would like to share?
Depends on which part of the student body you want to communicate with. Pretty much each school has its own email list, really. It's divided, I guess. So.
Yeah, if you want to communicate to the engineering school, I'd say Doug Neal's the guy to talk to. He is in charge of all things entrepreneurship for the engineering school. If you're looking for business students, contact the Zellury Institute. Ann Perigo is a great resource. She will email out if you're looking for jobs or if you want to join a team. Those are the only two schools I can speak for right now.
If you want to reach us as students, you can contact me. I'm from Menlo, and give you my email address.
Thanks. Yeah, that should be it.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Doug, thanks for this 60-second pitch. My name is Tom Nastis, and I'm probably one of the senior citizens here. And I was actually one of the very first venture investors in Michigan back in 1986. And then in 1992, actually went and did international venture capital. And one of the places that I've lived in the most and have made investments is in Russia. And there's a company in Russia called Kaspersky. Maybe you know the antiviral software company. It's third after Norton and McAfee. And one of the founders of Kaspersky, a company by the name of Natalia Kaspersky, she's an investor in this company that has avatars for customer service. But it's now has been launched in Asia. And it's getting quite a bit of uptake from young girls in Asia as a personal avatar. And she just asked me, she said, look, we're thinking about opening up a U.S. subsidiary. And we're looking for essentially a product team, a CEO or a COO or a general manager or general director who will help implement this particular project and the business model in the U.S. marketplace. So you can see the URL is nanosemantics. You can look at this thing, you can play with it. It's called IMS. And if you happen to know of a project leader or a project team or a CEO or a COO, and you'd like to just speak with you, I can actually give you my email address or give you a card, or you can just email if you happen to know of anybody anyone in Michigan, or it could be outside states. It doesn't matter where the location is. Thanks. Any questions?
Chad, type something.
Go ahead, just type. Where you are now, you can say any information.
Like, do you know Siri?
Let's go.
Throw on some background music. Hold us up. Feel free to network while we wait for the judges.
Yeah, they got cool stuff, and like I say, she just asked me, and you know, maybe they want to
remember
launch.
the name of
they
the
want to launch in America.
movie making thing that does that.
Yeah. I just saw it. So I wanted to get somebody that you starting off with the premiere. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's very.
It's got quite a bit of uptake in Asia. And it's originally designed for artificial intelligence and customer service for like banks, telecoms,
I went to find out
companies. And then these teenage girls in Asia, getting really appeared in China, Korea, and
also
yes. They want, like I said, they want to do a launch in America at some point in time. You know, not sure.
I'm Jeff Lutz.
Hi, Jeff.
I'm an entrepreneur and government.
I'm sorry?
All right. I know you guys are back. We're going to run out of things to
Do a little dance up there.
Yeah, I told some participation, speaking events. And we're a big website as you find more, but you want to participate.
Oh, yeah.
We're done delivering. It's going to be right here. So in the street card, that's correct.
Please call up Sheridan to come give a few remarks.
Yeah, we'll definitely go contact you. All right, cool. So I'll get in touch with you by it should be in there.
Well, this is going on a lot around campus these days, and I'm pleased to report the quality keeps going up and up. So this was a lot of fun for us, and glad it's over. It was an interesting debate outside. Now, do you want me to announce the winners? Sid?
Sure, you can.
Okay, so we're ready to go.
Just announce the prizes too, so if you just want to.
Sure. Yeah, well, we'll go in the reverse order here. Yeah. So sorry, okay, got it. Fourth place. Rich can shed his glasses here. All right, in fourth place is Daniel Fernandes for $250 winner. Here you go, sir. Congratulations. All right. In third place is Dimana. Okay. Must be present to win. All right. Now, it got tougher and tougher as time went on. And we actually ended up with a healthy split decision, supported, though, unanimously by the time the judges left. Is that a fair way to put it? And so, in second place, for $1,500, Thrively. And in first place, Yo Mama packed it. Way to go. $2,500 winners, I understand it. Way to go, guys. And probably didn't hurt that we were all hungry. Since we all skipped our dinner to be here. But, yeah, way to go. Congratulations.
So again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and listening to these great pitches. I'd like to thank all the teams for pitching. I know they put a lot of time and effort into their slide decks and into what they said. And I'd like to thank the judges again for having to make that tough decision, so we didn't have to. Now we're going to have an informal networking session. Feel free to stay by, stay as long as you want, and thanks again.